Hello, Lovelace, and welcome to today's English lesson. Now, today is very much about some of the grammar that we use, in particular the punctuation that we can use in our writing to help add extra information, extra description. So today the question I've got for you is, can I use parenthesis in my writing? Now, there's a picture there of two brackets. Okay, brackets are just one way in which we can show parenthesis, but I will explain as we work our way through. Parenthesis is a word, a phrase, or a sentence that is put in your writing as extra information or an afterthought. If you took the parenthesis away, if you took that extra information away, the passage would still be complete without it. It would still make sense. Okay, so this is extra information that helps the reader, but if it's taken away, it still makes sense. So here are just three examples of parenthesis. The first one, the parenthesis is just a word, one extra word. The second is a phrase. And the third, we've added a complete sentence. Okay, so here are the examples. The narcissus, daffodil, is a spring plant with yellow petals. Okay, so in that example, we've added just one word. And it's just to help the reader understand what a narcissus is. Okay, so the narcissus, which is the scientific name for a daffodil, most of us will know what a daffodil is, but most of us will not know what the narcissus is. So it's extra information to help the reader. But if we take it away, it still makes sense. The narcissus is a spring plant with yellow petals. Okay. Now, the second one, we've added a phrase. My cousin, the one who lives in Belize, is coming to the wedding. Okay, so there we've got a short phrase, the one who lives in Belize. Doesn't make sense on its own. So it's a phrase, not a sentence. And if we take it out of there, then the original sentence still makes sense. My cousin is coming to the wedding. But we've given the reader some extra information, some extra description. So my cousin, the one who lives in Belize, is coming to the wedding. And then finally, we've been able to add a whole sentence. Man City won the Premier League today. It was exciting. Now, although it was exciting is quite short, it's only 3 words, it is still a complete sentence. And we've been able to add that. But without it, the sentence still makes sense. Man City won the Premier League today. That's still clear. That still makes sense. But we've given some extra information so the reader realizes it was exciting. Okay? So parenthesis is a word that we use for adding extra information to a piece of writing. So where would we put the brackets here? Only put brackets around the parenthesis itself, the extra information. Check that the sentence still makes sense if you don't read that bit. Okay? That's a really, really good clue. That's a really good check. So if you read your sentence back without the parenthesis, without the extra information, if it still makes sense, then you're okay. You've put your punctuation in the right place. If you don't read the parenthesis and it doesn't make sense, then you've punctuated it incorrectly. Okay, so which of these sentences have the brackets in the right place? Some people don't like the rain, especially in England, but I do. Some people don't like the rain, especially in England, but I do. Some people don't like the rain, especially in England, but I do. Which of those, you can see there is extra information in the brackets, but which of those is actually the parenthesis, is extra information that could be removed? Read each sentence without the bit in the brackets. Which one still makes sense? Have a think. It's the last one, because if we read A without the brackets, some people, especially in England, but I do, that doesn't make any sense. B, some people don't like the rain. That does make sense, but the parenthesis doesn't make any sense, especially in England, but I do. But if we look at C, some people don't like the rain, but I do. That makes sense. And then the especially in England is the extra bit of information. Okay. Now, other ways to mark parenthesis. So far, we've just looked at brackets, but it's not the only way. We can use other punctuation to separate off, to mark where the parenthesis, where that extra information is in the sentence. Commas is one way. So commas can be used just like the brackets for parenthesis. It's usually a less formal writing. Okay. So here's our example. The newspaper, which is normally delivered at 9:30, did not come today. So which is normally delivered at 9:30 is the parenthesis. That's the extra information. If we ignore that, if we take that out, the newspaper did not come today. That still makes perfect sense, but we've given that extra bit of information. So commas is one way to mark your parenthesis. Dashes are another. Dashes can be used just like brackets, but usually only in informal writing. They interrupt the sentence more than brackets or commas, so use them carefully. Okay, they do break things up a lot more for the reader. They're a big visual slap there, so don't overuse these, but they are used in the same way. Tonight, I'm going out. I never turn down a night out to the cinema. So there's your parenthesis. But if we take that out, tonight I'm going out to the cinema. Our sentence makes perfect sense. But with the parenthesis, we've just given that extra bit of information, that extra bit of description. Tonight I'm going out. I never turn down a night out to the cinema. Okay. So brackets, commas, or dashes all do the same job. We use brackets in more formal writing, but they do the same job of separating off the parenthesis, separating off that extra bit of information. So let's just review that. We use parenthesis to add extra information or insert an afterthought. So that's just the extra little bit. Brackets are placed around the parenthesis, around the extra information. Just like with speech marks, we only put it around the bit that's actually spoken. With parentheses, we're only putting our brackets around the extra bit of information. A sentence or passage must still make sense if the parenthesis is removed. And that's your big check. That's the easiest way to test this. Read the sentence back without the parenthesis. Does it still make sense? If it does, then you're okay. Right. So which of these sentences has used the parenthesis correctly? So the first one, we've used commas. The second one, brackets. The punctuation choice doesn't matter, but which one has been used correctly? My uncle, who is 73 years old, enjoys playing Jenga with his friends every Wednesday and likes to play golf at the weekend. Or, my uncle, who is 73 years old, enjoys playing Jenga with his friends every Wednesday and likes to play golf at the weekend. Which do you think? Hopefully, you've recognized it's the second one, because who is 73 years old is an extra bit of information about his uncle. Okay, but if we take that out, my uncle enjoys playing Jenga with his friends every Wednesday and likes to play golf at the weekend. That sentence makes perfect sense. So the who is 73 years old is the extra information. That is the parenthesis. Okay? Right. Let's see if we can name the punctuation used to indicate the parenthesis in these sentences. Okay, so they're all written correct. They're both written correctly, but what do we call the punctuation? My brother, who is older than me, will be 11 tomorrow and is having a bowling party. My best friend, who I met at primary school, has just moved house as it was too far for her son's school, from her son's school. Okay, so what do we call those types of parentheses? Well, in A, we've got a pair of commas. There we go. After brother and after me. So who is older than me is the parenthesis. And in B, we've used a pair of dashes. So who I met at primary school is the parenthesis. That is the extra bit of information. Okay, right. On this one, I want you to circle or point to on your screen. That's okay. Point on the screen to where where we try that one again. Point or circle the punctuation used for parentheses in this sentence below. So where are the parentheses? Where's the punctuation? My next door neighbour, whose house is attached to ours, has a large tree in his back garden, and his children love to climb it. On my birthday, 1st of June, the weather is always sunny, so we usually go to the park for a picnic. So in the first one, where's the punctuation for the parenthesis? Hopefully, you're pointing there. The two commas separate off whose house is attached to ours. Okay, so if we remove that bit of the sentence, it still makes sense. My next door neighbour has a large tree in his back garden and his children love to climb it. Okay, so we've used commas there to separate off the parenthesis. What about the next one? Hopefully you're pointing there to the dashes. So 1st of June is the extra bit of information. On my birthday, the weather is always sunny, so we usually go to the park for a picnic. That sentence makes perfect sense. On my birthday, 1st of June, the weather is always sunny. So that extra little bit of information, but it's separated off using dashes in this case. Okay. Right. Which of the following sentences use correct punctuation to show parenthesis? So we've got 3 sentences here. I'll read them through. I want you to identify which of them is correct. There are 3 bookshelves at the back of our classroom, and they are used for our home school reading books. There are 3 large bookshelves at the back of our classroom for us to take home to read. Mystery books are our favourites. The bookshelves, which are at the back of the classroom, are full of books since we all love reading. Okay, just take a moment, reread those, maybe take out what you think is the parenthesis and see if it still makes sense. Okay, what do we think? Well, you might be surprised. 2 of them are correct. So A doesn't make sense. There are 3 bookshelves at the back of our classroom and they are used for our home. If we take out the parenthesis there, school reading books, then that sentence doesn't make sense. So definitely not A. But B, let's have a look. There are 3 large bookshelves at the back of our classroom for us to take home to read. That makes sense. Mystery books are our favourites. So that extra little bit of information. So although there isn't a dash at the end, we've got a full stop because we've brought this whole sentence to an end. Okay, so that does work as a parenthesis. We can leave it out and things still make sense. This one's probably the more obvious one. Hopefully we all got C. Even if we missed B, we got C. The bookshelves, which are at the back of the classroom, are full of books since we all love reading. If we drop the parenthesis, if we take out that extra information, the bookshelves are full of books since we all love reading. It still makes sense. Okay? Now, that is the end of today's session. There is no physical task for you to do and to upload onto Tapestry today, but I want you to bear all those little bits of grammar and punctuation and those ideas, bear them in mind the next time you're doing a piece of writing. It will be great to see some of those parentheses being used for you to add extra description when you're talking about Beowulf or the dragon or Grendel or your monster or anything else that we choose to write about over the next few days and weeks. Okay, so that's the end of the lesson. Take care of yourselves, guys. Take care of those people around you. Be nice, be kind, and I will see you very soon. Take care. Bye.